Hey guys, and welcome back to Ponderings with PT Podcast Ministries. I'm PT, Pastor Tanner, and I'm excited to get into this week's A Word for Your Weekend. But I want to jump into tonight. This topic for tonight is something that came to me actually this week. Had a little experience. I was, and honestly, it actually resolved or crystallized this morning. And ironically, I say crystallized because I woke up and there was some crystals all over my car. Frost. And it was pretty significant. I was surprised, didn't think it was that cold. But it was all over my car, and I got an older car that I use for commuting and whatnot. And so I get into it and I'm about to head to the gym. I turn it on and I didn't think it was that bad. And I started down kind of the hill from my house, and I couldn't see. I really just couldn't see. There were spots that I could kind of move and catch a glimpse, but I realized that the distortion through the frost was so significant that I wouldn't realize there was a car parked on the side of the road until it was too late. And so I had to pull over to the curb just 100 yards from the house and park and just let the defroster run. And it got me to thinking kind of about our vision, about perception, about what we see. And I think that this time of year we can get very distracted, my friends, by the lights and the shopping, the materialism, the gift giving, the food. We can get so caught up in everything that's going on that we lose out, and we lose the vision that we're supposed to have as believers. And so tonight I want to talk a minute and talk about that, about this vision that needs to be supernatural. It needs to come from something bigger than us. And so first and foremost, I wanted to read something from 2 Corinthians, and we're in chapter 5, and I want to read a few verses. So I'll be starting in verse 16. So we have stopped evaluating others from a human point of view. At one time, we thought of Christ merely from a human point of view. How differently we know him now. This means that anyone who belongs to Christ has become a new person. The old life has gone and a new life has begun. I read that actually in the New Living Translation this time. I thought it was an interesting take, an interesting way of couching the phrase, because I think that's something that I want us to consider as we kind of go through this holiday season. How are we seeing the people around us? Do we see them as lazy, irritable burdens, as enemies? And when I say the people around us, I can mean family, I can mean friends, I can mean people at work. Anybody in our lives, how do we view them? Do we get caught up in what they have and how they're doing and what they're doing? Is their house looks nicer than ours, or they got this for Christmas and I didn't? Or do we see them as our Father, the Creator, the God above everything else sees them? Do we see them with the same love, compassion, mercy that God has for them? See, I think we need to remember, my friends, that Jesus didn't die for just some people. Now, I know we hear that, but we need to remember that Jesus died for everyone. That includes the worst of the worst. He died for everyone. God has a distinct love for each individual human that has ever lived and will ever live. Even the ones that do the atrocities that we cannot not believe, or even the ones that we know in our own lives that just kind of live by their own code and maybe drive us crazy. God still loves them. He wants a relationship with them. He wants them to be redeemed and brought back to him. And there is a plan for every single person. Some of those plans don't get realized. Some of those plans are never come to fruition because those people don't turn to the Lord. But it is our job to see the people as God sees them. I remember flying home recently, and I remember walking through, I think it was the Memphis airport in Tennessee. And I'm looking at, in the midst of COVID, I'm looking at all these people hustling and bustling about. And I remember just taking a moment and asking God, I was like, God, I don't want to see them as a guy wearing a scarf or a woman wearing a dress or a little kid cutting me off because he's just so unaware of everything going on. I want to see them as souls that you want to connect with. I want to see them through your eyes. Let me pull up another verse to help us out here. In Mark, and we're looking at Mark in chapter 6. We're looking at a very common, a very well-known miracle where Jesus feeds the 5,000. But I want to just pull out a little section of this, keeping in mind context. But in verse 34, this is what we read. When he, Jesus, went ashore, he saw a great crowd, and he had compassion on them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. See, my friends, Jesus, he came ashore and he sees all these people, and he immediately felt compassion because he saw them for what they were. They were people looking for direction. They were people looking for hope. That's our calling, my friends. Whether you're in the ministry or just going about your everyday life, going to a job, taking care of your family, we're called to look upon the people of this world. Enemies, friends, family, it doesn't matter, but people with compassion. The same eyes as the Lord our God, as Jesus had. See, Jesus did not get born to rescue those that were already rescued. I love what we oftentimes hear is Jesus actually said he did not come for the people that were okay. A well person does not need a doctor. God sent Jesus. Jesus came for the broken. He came for the lost. And once we have been redeemed, once we follow Jesus, that is our calling. Our calling is to be salt and light to this world. We have to see those around us through his eyes. And there's a couple things I want you to keep in mind. First and foremost, a great way of kind of training yourself in this is when you look at those people in your life, see their needs. Don't see them as an inconvenience. See the needs. Look for the needs in the people around you. Do they need a friend? Do they need a ear for them to talk to? Do they need financial help? Do they need, what do they need? Look for the need. Turn your eyes outward instead of saying, oh my goodness, they're bothering me. They're always needy. They always need. No, look outward. Don't internalize it. And the second thing is practice looking for the potential in people instead of seeing their problems. We so often get caught up in seeing the things that people do wrong. Oh, well, this person drinks too much, or this person has a bad attitude, or this person's mouth is really bad. Like they're always using bad language, or this person, he's just unkind. He's so selfish. So often we see those things and it leads us into an area of judgment. And I love what Jesus did throughout his life. Jesus, he would see those things, but then he would say, look, I know what you can do. The woman at the well who had multiple divorces and was living with someone that wasn't her husband. Jesus didn't condemn her. He saw the potential in her to spread the word about himself to the people of the village. He saw what she was capable of. He called 12 disciples, 12 men who had never done anything in their lives. And if we actually read the Bible, they were pretty useless at what they did. None of them were really that great. He called these 12 regular guys to be the foundation of the church, to be his team moving in. And so I think that's where we need to keep in mind. And I'm going to wrap it up with one more verse found in Samuel. So we're in 1 Samuel, chapter 16. But the Lord said to Samuel, do not look at his appearance or the height of his stature, because I have rejected him. For the Lord sees not as a man sees. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. And see, in this case, my friends, Samuel was looking for the next king to replace Saul. So this is actually when David is about to be chosen to become the next king. And the Lord is talking to Samuel and he's saying, look, we see, you humans look at certain things, but I see people differently. We need to practice that. We need to train that into our hearts. So during this time of the year, when things can get pretty hectic, when we can be so distracted by bright lights, by wrapping paper, by cool sales, let's practice making our vision that of what God sees. Ask God to give you His eyes during this season. Look for someone in your life that has a need. Practice giving, practice serving, practice stepping outside of what the commercialized holiday season wants you to think about, which is, what can I get? Okay, my friends, so word for your weekend, man, vision. What is your vision? What is your vision? What do you see? What do you look for? Hope you guys have a great weekend. I love y'all. Praying for you. Have a great week. Take care.